Let's take a closer look at the top 10 best African countries to invest in this year. Every single one of these countries is projected to make investors millions in the coming few years. At this point, there's no denying that African countries have great economic potential and provide mind-blowing profit for investors. Putting your money in these countries means promoting economic development on the continent while getting double-digit returns on your money. If that's something you are interested in, consider these countries on the list. According to Statista, these nations have the largest GDP on the continent, which serves as a huge catalyst for growth. The first country on this list is number 10, Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast is a popular choice for investors in West Africa, mostly because it has one of the continent's fastest growing economies in recent years. The country is a business hub with lucrative potential for investors. According to the figures that are currently available, the Ivory Coast GDP was estimated to be about $70.9 billion in 2021. According to the data from the African Development Bank, the GDP of the Ivory Coast could increase by 6.5% by 2023. The survey also revealed that the rise is being fueled by petroleum products, construction, agriculture, and transportation. These are industries you should look into. Number 9, Angola. Angola has a lot of agricultural land as well as oil and gas reserves. It's the second largest oil producer in Africa. According to reports on the investment risk and prospects in Angola, the country has a GDP of $66.49 billion. Trading economics predictions are that the GDP of the nation could reach $100 billion by 2023. The expansion of Angola's GDP is aided by trade, storage, building, and fishing. For investors, these industries provide the best growth prospects, and they are where you should be looking at this year. 8. Morocco. According to data that is currently available, Morocco has the 5th largest GDP on the African continent. As of 2022, Morocco's GDP was estimated at about $124 billion. This growth is mostly influenced by the housing market, government investments, and agriculture. There are signs that this year, the nation's economic growth will increase to at least 3.2%. If you are looking to invest in the real estate market or in agriculture at a large scale, this place is for you. Number 7, Algeria. Tourism, renewable energy, and liquidity reserves are potential areas for foreign direct investment in Algeria. Oil and gas provide 60% of the state budget, which is the foundation of the nation's economy. According to Statista, this country in Northern Africa had a GDP of $151.46 billion as of 2021, and that number is set to increase drastically this year. The country also offers lucrative economic prospects to investors thanks to recent government regulations encouraging international investment. Number 6, Kenya. In Central and East Africa, Kenya's economy is arguably the most developed. The World Bank predicts that this resilient economy might expand to a 4.9% annual rate as a result of wise economic management policies and natural resources. Kenya's GDP is expected to increase from $107 billion to a whopping $110 billion in the coming years. According to trading projections, that number is just going to rise with the coming years. Kenya is a great place to invest in right now. Due to the high demand for goods and services, a strong economy, and a welcoming business environment, Kenya is every investor's dream. Nigeria. After being left off the Rand Merchants Bank's list of nations to invest in for 2021, Nigeria had a wonderful year. According to Statista, the nation's GDP reached a whopping $514 billion in 2021, making it the largest economy in Africa. According to data, Nigeria's GDP increased by 4.3% in the third quarter of last year. The figures show 4 quarters of extensive growth in a row. According to Trading Economics, 10% of the country's total output is made from communications. information and services. The construction industry and major export make up 16% of the GDP, followed by agriculture, natural gas, and of course crude oil with an 11% share. These are industries you should be looking at the moment. Number 4, South Africa. South Africa is the most industrialized nation in Africa, with services accounting for 73% of its GDP. According to information currently available, South Africa's GDP was $329.53 billion in 2021. The GDP of the country comes from a variety of industries, including real estate, finance, communication, and transportation. In addition, according to data from Bloomberg, the most developed economy in Africa might expand by 2.1% this year. Due to its economic stability, South Africa has the largest stock exchange on the continent and lucrative prospects in the provision of social services. If this is something you are into, then South Africa is the place to be. 3. Egypt. The World Population Review estimates that there are more than 105 million people living in Egypt. According to Reuters, Egypt's GDP expanded by 9.8% in the first quarter of the fiscal year of 2022 to 2023. From the data that is currently available, Egypt will have one of the highest total GDPs in Africa in the coming years. At the moment, Egypt has the second highest GDP on the continent, with a total of $394 billion. Despite the consequences of the pandemic, Egypt's GDP increased in the last years. For investors, the country has a diverse economy with money-printing industries like fossil fuels, agriculture, and tourism. 2. Ethiopia. Ethiopia has always been a go-to country for investors. Ranking as the second largest exporter of flowers of the continent and one of the world's top coffee growers, the country has a population of over 115 million people. Ethiopia's GDP grew by 6.1% over the years of 2019 to 2020. The nation's GDP was estimated at about $93.97 billion despite the ongoing conflict there. Investors stand to make a huge chunk of profit and gains as Reuters forecast that Ethiopia's economy will grow by a whopping 8.7% in the coming years. Number 1. Ghana. A recent survey revealed that Ghana's economy grew by 6.6% in 2021 and by 3.9% in 2022 when most economies were crumbling. According to reports, Ghana experienced its fastest GDP growth rate since the pandemic in 2021, and things are finally picking up after a slow 2022. The country's GDP is now estimated to about $74.26 billion. Secondly, Ghana recently launched its Year of the Return initiative, which has seen a haul of about 1,500 African Americans, including celebrities like Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade, Steve Harvey, and many others, visit Ghana. This has made the tourism industry in the country to skyrocket. Ghana also recently announced it will be switching from using the US dollars to trade currency to using gold. All this making investment in the country an opportunity an investor cannot ignore. Bear in mind that you should always do your own extensive research before making any investment. Also take into account the political and corporate climates of any country you are considering. To prevent money loss, research on the growth, liquidity, and risk aspects before diving in. Also consider other issues like corporate tax, exchange rates, inflation, and financial crisis, which play a crucial role in any business. Now that you are aware of the best countries to invest in, which of these countries are at the top of your list? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and for more videos, also watch our video on the best industries to invest in Africa.